Welcome to HDTV. You're now rocking with your boy. Well, in the news today, I was gonna do a live, but I said, you know what? I'll just record myself, do something different. First off, I want to thank everybody who subscribed to the page and who's been liking the videos. I appreciate you. Like I said, I'm not here worried about views or worried about how many people I get, to be, subscribed to the page. People are going to find the videos, people are going to like it, people are going to hate it. Like I said, just make sure when you comment, keep your comments respectable. YouTube has some type of thing where they're getting rid of comments. Now, sometimes some guys don't say nothing wrong and they're still doing it. So just be careful in what you say. So now in the HDeezy news today, the latest is on Lions and Matthew Stafford. Cal Menke reports that Matthew Stafford, first floated the trade idea, but it was tabled during the team's search for a new head coach and general manager. However, both Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell were told that Stafford could end up being traded during their interviews and were not persuaded against accepting the jobs. Menke says that Stafford floated the idea thinking it would be in both his and the team's best interest to work on a trade this offseason, and it has nothing to do with the new hires or those searches. In the end, Detroit decided to pursue a trade for their longtime quarterback, according to Menke. The Lions have agreed to trade Stafford as long as they get fair market value for his. Although if they don't find what they're looking for in terms of compensation, Stafford could still return to Detroit. Even so, Menke adds that right now all sides are pushing towards a trade. Tom Pelissero first reported that the two parties mutually agreed to part ways and added that there will likely be a strong trade market for Stafford, who has 2 years and $43 million left on his contract. Some teams worth keeping an eye on for Stafford, according to Pelissero, includes the Broncos, the Colts, the Panthers, the Patriots, the Saints, and Washington. Pelissero expects a trade to be completed for Stafford prior to the 5th day of the 2021 league year, which happens to be when Stafford is due a $10 million roster bonus. By trading Stafford, the Lions would carry $19 million in dead money while netting $14 million in cap space and $20 million in cash. The Lions should be able to secure a quality return considering the number of teams in serious needs of an impact quarterback like Stafford. Stafford, 32, is a former first-round pick of the Lions back in 2009. He was in the final year of his 5-year, $76.5 million contract when he and the Lions agreed to a 5-year, $135 million extension back in 2017. In 2020, Stafford appeared in all 16 games for the Lions and completed 64% of his passes for 4,084 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He also rushed for 112 yards. We'll have more regarding a potential Stafford trade as the news is available. Stafford, 32, is hold on, my apologies. Yeah, I apologize. I'm about to read that again. It's been a long day, guys. You can tell by my eyes. Now, Stafford, to me, his problem has always been injuries. Injuries and being able to lift the Lions to another level. And then by them getting Matt Patricia, that kind of messed them up. Jim Caldwell had him playing at a high level because Jim Caldwell, I believe, was a QB's coach. So he knows the offense very well. Now, the teams that they're basically trying to trade him to, now the Broncos, like out of all these teams, if I was him, I would try to go to if I was them, to me, the Broncos would be a great pick. The Broncos are ready. They just need a quarterback. Their team is good. Their team is to me young. They're set. Once they get Lindsey back, Lindsey was in and out the lineup because he was hurt. And then they add another running back. Their defense is good. Even without Von Miller, their defense is vicious. They just didn't have a good quarterback in Drew Lock. Drew Lock kept turning the ball over. They weren't able to get pressure a lot on QB because they were always put on the field because of 3 and outs, 3 and outs, 3 and outs. When you got Matt Stafford, you'll be able to do that. Now, the Broncos, that they have a line, their line is good, and I believe their receivers are pretty good. They got some decent receivers. Sutton is good. I forgot the other guy name. He's pretty good as well. So I think they got a tight end. I got to look at them again. But the Broncos they're a young team. They just need a quarterback to lift them. And that would be a good pick. Now the Colts, if Stafford go to the Colts, they're Super Bowl ready. They're Super Bowl ready. They'll be the favorites. I believe that'll be a better spot than Denver because Frank Reich is basically, he's a quarterback guru, offensive guru. He knows how to put the plays together. He knows how to get his guys in the right position. So I would basically try to go to the Colts because the Colts to me look like the best fit because New England, I mean, the Panthers, you could go to the Panthers. They got a good defense. I still think the Panthers need to give Teddy Bridgewater one more year. I think Bridgewater will be better this year. And I think he'll be better and he'll be all right because you paid the man some money. You paid him, I think, a 3-year deal, 30-some, 40-some million. So I would try to keep Teddy. And I would try to roll with him. The Saints, that would be a good pick as well because Drew Brees is retiring. That would be a great pick. But I think Peyton's trying to go with that Taysom Hill guy. I don't know why. He's just a sorry version of Tim Tebow to me. I think Tebow is better. And then Washington football team, that'll be a great pick for him. That'll be good for him. I believe he'll fit in there as well. They got receivers. They got receivers galore, man. And they have a good defense. It could be better. They could add pieces to their defense. They also can add to the offense. But to me, I think Indianapolis would be the best pick. I think he ought to go to the Colts. The Colts would be a good pick, but it depends on who the Colts are trying to give up. I don't think the Colts are trying to give up too much. So now, in other news, Dwayne Haskins, he was picked up by the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is great because if Big Ben decides to come back, you'll have a guy who can back him up. Mason Rudolph is trash. Let's just put that out there. He's only reason that he's where he's at is because he's a white boy. He's the typical, prototypical white guy who looks the part of QB but just can't play it. It's time to move on from him. Dwayne Haskins, they got him for 1 year. That'll be a good process to get him acclimated, to teach him some things, help him with his maturity. And hey, they could sign him probably for another year after that. And who knows, Ben might get hurt or something, or Ben stinking it up. You could throw him out there and see what he got for you. And to me, I think he'll fit better in Pittsburgh because he has weapons and he'll be able to get the ball to those guys. And I think that he'll learn how to read and progress through his reads better. They'll actually take time with him instead of what he was in Washington, where they just threw him out there and didn't give him a chance to dig himself out the holes. So that's something to look out for as well. Now, in another news and everything, Sean Marion, this is crazy. Sean Marion calls out D'Antoni, blames him for not winning a title in Phoenix. Most Sun fans would say the 2007 Phoenix team had the best chance of winning a championship and the controversial suspension of Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw deprived them of doing so, but Sean Marion, a member of the 7 Seconds or Less Sons, will say otherwise. The year we lost to Mother effing Dallas. That's the year we were supposed to win a championship. The Nowitzki-led Mavericks, a team that eventually lost to the 06 NBA Finals to the Heat, proved to be too much for the 54-win Suns. They closed out the series in 6 games and ended Phoenix postseason run at the Western Conference mark. Despite the Matrix feeling great about their chances of winning the Larry O'Brien that year, but even in 07 it shouldn't have ended the way it did. As Marion described on the Real Ones podcast, the Suns should have won the series against the Spurs regardless of the suspensions. What held them back is the lack of adjustments, which made them too predictable on the offensive side of the floor. And if you ask Sean, there's only one person to blame for that. Everybody talking about the adjustments and what somebody's doing or not doing. Hey, you're a coach. You got to make effing adjustments, man. Like, it's your duty to go out there and see what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, players can see it too, but the players are only going to do what you tell them to do. And that was Sean Marion on the Real Ones podcast. As much as Mike D'Antoni's system turned the Suns into an offensive juggernaut during the regular season, it also held them back in the playoffs. Come postseason time, every team is playing chess. The 07 Phoenix played checkers, and it capped their run at the second round, but those Suns weren't the only one. Back in 2019, the late, great Kobe Bryant said the Rockets wouldn't win a championship with James Harden because their style of play was too predictable. Houston relied exclusively on the beard to run their offense, the same way the 7 seconds or less 7 seconds or less Suns relied on Steve Nash to do the same thing. The common denominator and the reason both teams were never able to go all the way is Mike D'Antoni. That's why Marion is right to call him out for it. Status quo should never be a go-to for a head coach, and on-fly adjustments are a necessity to thrive. D'Antoni never understood that, and it deprived him of winning an NBA title on multiple teams. I just feel bad for the players. They were and will continue to be collateral victims of one man's obstinacy. Unless D'Antoni changes his approach. He's with the Nets now as an assistant. Sounds like a good place to start. And we're seeing this right now with the Brooklyn Nets. Mike D'Antoni, and this is why I wanted Jacques Vaughn hired for the Brooklyn Nets, because Jacques Vaughn teaches defense. He's from the Popovich tree. Now, he's on the sideline with those guys, but how much input is he really able to put in? Mike D'Antoni, we know, is the coach. Steve Nash is nothing but the puppet. He's just a little scapegoat guy. So what should have happened is Mike D'Antoni a lot of times should have worked on defense. Your offense is fine. What's problem is you don't play defense. You can't outscore people. When you play in the NBA playoffs, it's a half-court game now. Now, this game now is watered down. It's like a bunch of crap. Guys shooting threes. So now you could probably run that offense and have a chance to win, but you still have to make stops. The Clippers are a team you can't beat. The Lakers are a team right now you can't beat. You probably could, once you get your chemistry together, you probably could beat them. But that's besides the part. That's besides the fact. I don't think you guys could beat the Jazz. I don't think you guys could beat a lot of teams, especially in the East. I don't think you guys would be better than the Pacers. I still think the Bucks are better. Even though they lost to you, I still think the Bucks are better. I think they just got to learn how to close, and Giannis has to learn how to demand the ball down the stretch. Philly could give you problems with Embiid inside. That could also give you problems. You have who else you have? Boston, I think you could take Boston. Boston really doesn't have a strong inside presence like that. So, and the Knicks, man, the Knicks are looking better. And the Cavs, they just beat you twice. So you damn sure don't want to match up with the Cavs, or you'll be out in the first round if y'all play each other. So in the Pacers, Y'all not touching the Pacers because the Pacers got two big guys who gonna beat you up down low, and y'all guys barely beat Miami. Now, albeit this is their only, I think this is their third game or second game where all of them are playing together because KD took off the other night and they still could have won that game. But D'Antoni has been a terrible coach, man. He's always been just offense. I want to win offensively instead of worrying about the defensive side. You have to play defense. And that's why a lot of his teams have not made it. They didn't succeed. They used to lose a lot. So that's what I'm saying. You depend on one star player like a Steve Nash. Excuse me. You depend on one player like a Steve Nash. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, I understand what you're doing, but at the same time, it's like, come on, dog. You got to do better. To me, if he doesn't learn how to play defense or get this defense right, we're seeing it with the Nets. The Nets are playing like the Suns or the Rockets. The defense isn't that great. They're not making stops. And then you got rid of your defensive pieces. If I was them, I would try to go get a rim protector. Not only a rim protector, I would go get a wing defender. Those are two things I would get for the defensive end. And then third, I would get an extra point guard to come off the bench to help that unit. Or a guy who can score. So that's what they need. And to me, it's not rocket science. You have to understand that if you don't have a rim protector or defensive guy that can play the back end, you're in trouble. Because on the perimeter, you got KD, Harden, and Kyrie out there. KD's probably the best defender out of everybody on the team. DeAndre has lost some steps. So you have to have somebody back him up. You have to have somebody on the wing who could come in and help shut everything down. But I mean, shoot. I don't know. That's how they're looking. But Sean Marion, he's right. Mike D'Antoni cost them 3 championships. The Suns should have had 3 championships. And also the general management did too. The general management got rid of Joe Johnson. That was stupid. They should have signed Joe Johnson back. Because what he did was when Nash went to the bench, Joe came in there and dominated. He was destroying teams. They let him go to Atlanta, which was dumb. Then you got rid of Amari. It's like you didn't want to win. So you gotta look at things like that. But I agree with Sean Marion, man. That's crazy. Now, this is also a story that I really didn't like. I didn't like how Charles Barkley and Shaq basically dissed Donovan Mitchell. Listen, you guys will diss Donovan Mitchell, but you won't call out that bum LeBrownies. Y'all won't call him out. Y'all won't go to him and talk bad about him. Y'all won't do the same thing to Steph Curry. Well, y'all probably would. But you guys don't do the same energy. Y'all don't keep the same energy with LeBrownies. Why is that? Why is it that you guys go at Donovan Mitchell? Donovan Mitchell's having one of his best seasons. He's only in his 3rd or 4th year. He's a young kid. That was disrespectful. And Shaq, I know you not talking. Do I got to go back and talk about the Orlando days where you were getting carried by Penny a lot of nights because you couldn't keep your fat ass in shape? Do I got to talk about LA, how Kobe had to damn near about to fight you because you hated on him, you was talking bad about him and never said it to his face, but you were just talking bad about him. He took it. He got better every year. You was staying the same. You never got better. You got worse. Your 3 championships, if you did not have Kobe Bryant beside you, you would not have won. You probably would have got one out. You probably would have got one of them. But other than that, you won 3 in a row. Then Charles, greatest players you were lazy. You didn't work hard enough. That's why Michael never respected you. Michael, he liked you a little bit, but Michael didn't respect you. You were just a court gesture to him. You were just a guy he could keep under his thumb and just treat like crap. Because he knew you didn't have what it took to win. You didn't. You didn't have what it takes to win. You didn't have that. You didn't have that tough. Now, if you played with a Kobe Bryant or somebody, you would have won way more than Shaq did, because you would have did way more than Shaq. But a lot of times, dude, your leadership. You used to call guys and talk trash about them, saying, "Man, you suck." How you gonna say that to your teammates, man? Everybody can't handle that. And to me, you guys have been disrespectful to a lot of these players, but you guys won't call out LeBron when he stinks up the joint. And he stunk up the joint the past few games. This last game he played, he hit some shots like he was front running. And then he blew his whole load in the beginning of the fourth, but down the stretch, they needed you to close. You couldn't do it. KCP had to close. But y'all don't want to call him out on that. It's like, come on, dog. Like, what are we doing here? Like, why would y'all come at Donovan Mitchell like that? Donovan Mitchell is a good kid, and he continues to get better. But yet, you guys won't talk about LeBron, how his shot is terrible, that he only making those shots because he was wide open. And then the refs will call a foul on you if you even get up in his grill. It's a foul. So it's like, come on. Like, what can you do? The Utah Jazz are doing what I told everybody they would do. I told everybody Utah Jazz was going to be tough. I told everybody the Warriors were going to make the playoffs. I told everybody that I thought the only thing I've been wrong about is Denver and Sacramento. Because Denver, they're still trying to figure their lineups out, and they rely on Joker too much. Jamal Murray ain't doing nothing. He ain't stepping up. Jamal Murray, dog, he just look like he's going to be a role player. He's just going to be a role player the rest of his career. And the Kings, they got a garbage coach, like I said. The Warriors, they're going to make the playoffs because Draymond Green is coaching those guys up. Draymond Green is a floor general. That's all they were missing. And then they got Brad Wanamaker to run the second unit. They're dangerous. The Clippers are surprising everybody. Nobody's talking about the Clippers. Kawhi and them boys are balling. Paul George, we know he gonna nut up on himself when he get to the playoffs. But right now they're playing probably one of the best ball out there. The Celtics, they need Tatum back. Kemba also, he gets hurt too much. Jalen is doing his best. He's carrying the load, but other guys got to step up. This is why I told y'all overrate Brad Stevens. We're going to see what Brad Stevens does this year. Brad Stevens don't at least get to the Eastern Conference Final or at least win this year. He's not great then. We got to stop putting these coaches on a pedestal when they haven't done nothing. And that's just facts. But Shaq and Charles, you was wrong. That was very hoish of you. That was a lot of hoish showing out of you guys. And that's terrible. Plus, hold on. Also, rest in paradise to Larry King, Hank Aaron, and I think that was it. It was another guy. But RIP to them. Hank Aaron, man, he's one of the reasons that I love the Braves. My dad grew up loving baseball. He loved Hank Aaron. He used to talk about Hank all the time. Satchel Paige, all of them boys. He loved all of them, man. And Hank Aaron, man, he's the king of SWAT. He broke Babe's record, the real home run king. Beat everybody's record, and man, he's a guy who went through scrutiny. They were threatening him. They were threatening to kill him and things if he broke the record, just showing you the racism that still goes on today. and Hank Aaron was good. I'm gonna do a video on what he was. He basically went through his racism. I'm gonna do a video on him and talk about him in that piece. Probably tomorrow or the day after. Also, Larry King, man, what can you say? Larry King, the voice. The voice he had was just so gravitating. He's one of the reasons why I wanted to be in journalism and also do broadcast work. Because he was so real, he was so natural, everything came to him, it was never no problem. But rest in paradise to him, man. It's sad, that he's gone. And also Ted Thompson, the GM of the Packers, former GM, he passed away. The guy who drafted Aaron Rodgers and all of these guys. That was sad. So a lot of I don't know that much about him, but he made some great plays. He's picked some great players over the year to add to Aaron Rodgers as well as add to the team to get better. He didn't really get his just due. To me, I had one problem with the way he handled Brett Favre. He should have handled that better. But other than that, man, he was a hell of a GM. Now, what else we got? And so, but that was messed up, man. Them guys are gone, so let's see. They're talking about Deshaun Watson. Yeah, now they're talking about Deshaun Watson. I think they said Deshaun Watson picked like 2 teams or something. Hold on. Hold on, guys. I apologize. Okay, so Deshaun Watson, it seems like the trade is on. He reportedly revealed ranked list of teams he would like the Texans to trade him to. And it was the team I said it would be. But everybody looked at me like, oh, but they got this guy. I said, I don't care. You go after Deshaun Watson. Now, every NFL team who could be in of the new quarterback has their eyes on the situation in Houston this offseason after it has been reported that Deshaun Watson could be looking for a change of scenery. Now, he could be. The Texans still could keep him now. The Pro Bowl signal caller had to watch as his top wideout was traded away. Okay, let's see. We already know all that. Okay, according to Armando Salguero of the Miami Herald, Watson prefers to play for the New York Jets, and his number 2 option would be the Miami Dolphins. Like I told you guys, if I said it before the season was over, I told everybody, Miami Dolphins would be a perfect fit for him. You have a chance. Miami was this close to making the playoffs. If they had Watson, they would have made it. And then the Dolphins have a second or third round. They have in the first round, they have the third pick. They could go after the receiver from Alabama. You mix him with Devontae Parker and Deshaun Watson. Trouble. You about to see me rocking a Dolphins jersey, dude. Yeah, Segura reports that Watson told people the Jets are his top preference because they recently hired Robert Saleh to be their new head coach. Watson apparently valued Saleh so much that he wanted the Texans to interview him for their open head coaching job. The former San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator established himself as one of the league's best over the past few years. And his defense even helped carry the 49ers to Super Bowl LIV last year. Saleh was beloved by his players, and his charisma has the Jets thinking he is capable of quickly and efficiently establishing a new culture built on success. The Dolphins were the first team to be tied to Watson 2 weeks ago, but it's interesting that Watson would also be fine with playing for Miami's division rival. This is notable because if there ends up being a proverbial arms race with draft picks for Watson's services, the ante will be raised by two rivals fighting for him, with the loser knowing they will have to game plan against him twice a year. How many first-round picks would it take for the Texans to deal Watson away? CBS NFL insider Jonathan Jones spoke with several league sources about what could be included in this potential trade. Check out his piece. Let's see. We're going to check it out here. Let's see what he said. I told you guys the Dolphins. Hold on. Okay, it's the Jets, Dolphins, and the Panthers. That means the fate of Tua, Sam, and Teddy, their respective head coaches and general managers, plus the rookie QBs those teams will otherwise target. Let's see. Okay, others tell me McNair can keep. All right, so basically, if Eric McNair hires Eric Bieniemy as the coach, Deshaun Watson will stay. And they said if that's the case, but if Houston goes in a different direction at head coach, Watson may truly have played his final snap with the Texans. So after talking with sources around the league this week, Jonathan Jones, who's doing this piece, believes that it takes compensation equaling at least 3 first-round picks and likely a second or third round pick for Houston to rightfully press the button on the trade. They'll likely ask for at least 3 first-round picks, a second, a third, and a later round pick. One personnel executive told me, ultimately, I think it depends on whether the team has a viable QB that's available to trade in return. They have to leave with at least a player and 2 first and some throw-in picks. Another personnel man said, preferably a top 10 this year, preferably with a good QB included in the deal, said one agent. 4 picks, including 3-1, sound about right. But since the Texans don't have a ton of leverage after alienating and pissing off a guy who should be the face of their franchise for the next decade, maybe 2-1s and a combination of picks and or swap choices could be the way. There's little historical precedent to go off of, and comparing any Watson deal to Jay Cutler's from 2009 wouldn't be entirely accurate. Back then, the Broncos sent Chicago Cutler and a 5th-round pick in exchange for Kyle Orton, 2 firsts, and a third. That was before the 2011 CBA that slotted rookie deals, so comparing a first-round pick in 2009 to a first-round pick in 2022 isn't exactly 1-1. And the math here isn't simply 3 firsts. Yes, Jamal Adams and Jalen Ramsey were both dealt for 2 firsts, but both the Seahawks and Rams sent what they anticipated would be picks in the 20s, if not 30s, for those players. Most personnel folks will tell you today that a player in the 20s isn't that much different from the guy you take at, say, 35. But a top 3 pick, that's a gold bar. Even the Panthers picking at number 8 would offer the chance for Houston to pick a potentially good gold jacket player. The Jets could deal Darnold, who equates to a 3rd-round pick. The Dolphins could send Tagovailoa to Houston less than 1 year after taking him 5th overall. The Panthers would have to unload Teddy Bridgewater and his contract if they wanted Watson, though it seems unlikely the Texans would want to take that on considering the way he played in 2020. That'll mean the Panthers would have to trade something of substantial value with the quarterback to give and with the least desirable 1st-round spot among the group. Panthers owner David Tepper would have to part with Christian McCaffrey, the face of the franchise, and likely more. Defensive end Brian Burns entering his 3rd season in the league would also likely be requested in order to get such a deal done. What the Texans do at head coach will either quiet or ramp up speculation on Watson's future. If Houston has to ship Watson off, it'll make most sense to do so before the start of free agency in mid-March, where competition for his services, read the trade prices, will be highest. So, yeah. So, basically, that's what it is. You know, basically, Houston, if you pick Eric Bieniemy, you keep Deshaun Watson. But if you don't pick Eric Bieniemy, Deshaun Watson wants to go to the Jets or the Dolphins. I wouldn't go to the Panthers. I wouldn't go there. I think the Jets the Panthers and the Dolphins to me would be the best pick. But you don't know what the Jets could be. The Jets got talent. They just need to have a guy who can structure it. And I believe that guy, Robert Saleh, he'll be pretty good. He'll have that defense rolling. They'll have the offense rolling. So, like I said, Houston, the ball's in your court. But if you F this up, the Jets, Dolphins, and Panthers will come with some prizes to lure that gift to themselves. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, share this. Hit the notification bell to select all to receive upcoming notifications. And if you would like to donate to the page, cash at me at the word welcome, the number 2, HDeezy. Yeah. Shout out to D4. Shout out to D4. Yes, sir. Thank you for listening, and we're out. HDeezy.